Hello, I'm Timothy, and I'm reaching out to this community for some much-needed advice. My marriage has become increasingly difficult, and I'm feeling trapped in a situation that I don't know how to navigate. I'm hoping that by sharing my story, I can gain some perspective and perhaps find a way forward. My wife Lisa and I have been married for 6 years. We met in college, and at first, everything was perfect. Lisa was charming, intelligent, and passionate about life. She had a way of drawing people in with her charisma and confidence, and I was no exception. She made me feel special, and I was certain that I had found the woman I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. However, things started to change after we got married. It was subtle at first, small comments and criticisms that I brushed off as harmless. But over time, those comments evolved into something more insidious. Lisa has a way of making me feel inferior, constantly belittling my opinions and decisions. Her words are like daggers, and they cut deep, leaving me questioning my self-worth. In the early days, I would often dismiss her behavior, thinking that she was just stressed or having a bad day. I wanted to believe that the woman I fell in love with was still there, underneath the harsh exterior. But as the years went by, it became harder to ignore the reality of my situation. Lisa's verbal abuse has become a regular part of my life. She finds fault in everything I do, from the way I dress to how I handle household chores. Her words are harsh and demeaning, and they leave me feeling small and insignificant. She criticizes my career, telling me that I'm not ambitious enough and that I'll never amount to anything. She mocks my hobbies, calling them a waste of time and money. One evening, I remember coming home from work feeling exhausted. I had a long day at the office and was looking forward to relaxing with Lisa. However, as soon as I walked through the door, she launched into a tirade about how I had forgotten to take out the trash that morning. Her voice was filled with anger and disdain, and she didn't hesitate to remind me of all my shortcomings. "You can't even handle a simple task like taking out the trash, Tim," she sneered. "I don't know how you expect to succeed at anything when you can't even manage basic household responsibilities." I stood there, feeling defeated and ashamed. No matter how hard I tried, it was never enough for Lisa. Her words echoed in my mind, reinforcing the belief that I was a failure. As if the verbal abuse at home wasn't enough, Lisa often takes her behavior public. She has no qualms about belittling me in front of friends and family, turning every gathering into an opportunity to showcase my flaws. It's as if she thrives on making me the butt of the joke, relishing in the power she holds over me. I remember one particular dinner with our friends, Sarah and Mark. We were at a nice restaurant, and I was hoping for a pleasant evening. However, Lisa had other plans. She started by criticizing the way I held my fork, laughing as she pointed out how clumsy I looked. "Tim's always been a bit of a mess," she said with a smirk. "It's a miracle he manages to get through the day without tripping over his own feet." Everyone at the table chuckled awkwardly, unsure of how to react. I felt my face flush with embarrassment, wishing I could disappear. The evening continued in the same vein, with Lisa taking every opportunity to undermine me and make me the target of her jokes. By the end of the night, I felt humiliated and worthless. I could see the pity in our friends' eyes, and it only added to my shame. Lisa's behavior had turned what should have been a fun night out into yet another painful reminder of my inadequacies. Lisa's need for control extends beyond verbal abuse. She micromanages every aspect of our lives, from our finances to our social calendar. She insists on handling the budget, leaving me with little say in how we spend our money. I feel like I'm living in a prison of her making, with no room to breathe or make decisions for myself. Whenever I try to assert myself, Lisa is quick to shut me down. She uses guilt and manipulation to keep me in line, reminding me of all the sacrifices she's made for our relationship. She'll bring up past mistakes, twisting them to fit her narrative and using them as leverage to maintain control. For instance, I once suggested that we take a weekend trip to visit my family. It had been a while since we'd seen them, and I thought it would be a nice break from our usual routine. However, Lisa wasn't having it. "Why would we waste money on a trip to see your family when we could use that for something more important?" she snapped. Besides, I've already made plans for us that weekend and I'm not changing them. Her response left me feeling trapped and powerless, like my wants and needs didn't matter. It's as if Lisa sees me as an extension of herself, existing only to fulfill her desires and meet her expectations. Living with Lisa has taken a significant toll on my mental health. The constant criticism and belittlement have eroded my self-esteem, leaving me feeling like a shell of the person I once was. I've started to question my worth and abilities, doubting myself at every turn. I find myself walking on eggshells, constantly trying to avoid Lisa's wrath. I'm always on edge, anticipating her next outburst and wondering what I'll do wrong next. It's exhausting and draining, and I often feel like I'm living in a state of perpetual anxiety. The stress of the situation has affected my work performance, leading to mistakes and missed deadlines. My boss has noticed a change in my demeanor, and I've had to make excuses to cover up the truth. I'm terrified of losing my job, knowing that it's one of the few things I've left that gives me a sense of purpose. Sleep has become elusive, as my mind races with thoughts of inadequacy and fear. I lie awake at night, replaying Lisa's hurtful words and wondering if things will ever get better. The emotional toll is overwhelming, and I'm not sure how much longer I can endure it. As if the situation weren't dire enough, our children, Emma, 6, and Ben, 4, are also affected by Lisa's behavior. I worry about the impact her narcissism will have on them and how it might shape their understanding of love and relationships. Lisa's controlling nature extends to our parenting, dictating how we should raise our kids and undermining my authority at every turn. She insists on making all the decisions, from what they eat to what they wear, leaving me feeling sidelined and powerless. Emma, our eldest, has started to notice the tension between us. She's become withdrawn and anxious, often asking me why Mommy seems so angry all the time. It breaks my heart to see her so affected by the situation, and I worry about the long-term impact it will have on her. Ben, our youngest, is still too young to fully understand what's happening, but he picks up on the negativity in the house. I'm terrified that he'll grow up thinking this is normal, that love is conditional and based on control and manipulation. I want to protect my children and provide them with a loving, nurturing environment, but I feel trapped in this toxic dynamic. It's a constant battle between wanting to shield them from Lisa's behavior and feeling helpless to change the situation. The breaking point came during a family outing to the park. It was supposed to be a fun day, a chance for us to spend quality time together and enjoy the sunshine. However, Lisa's mood was sour from the start, and I could sense that something was brewing beneath the surface. As we set up a picnic, Lisa began criticizing the way I'd packed the food. She complained that I'd forgotten her favorite snacks and that the sandwiches were sloppily made. Her comments were sharp and cutting, each one a reminder of my supposed failures. In front of the children, she berated me for being useless and incapable of doing anything right. Her voice was loud and filled with contempt, drawing the attention of nearby families who looked on with pity. In that moment, something inside me snapped. I felt a surge of anger and frustration, a desperate need to stand up for myself and show my children that this behavior was not acceptable. I took a deep breath and calmly told Lisa that her words were hurtful and that I wouldn't tolerate being treated that way any longer. The look of shock on her face was palpable, and for a brief moment, I felt a sense of empowerment. However, the confrontation quickly turned into a full-blown argument, with Lisa accusing me of being overly sensitive and trying to make her the villain. After that day at the park, I knew I needed to find a way to address the situation. I started reaching out to friends and family, confiding in them about what had been happening. To my surprise, many of them had suspected that things were not as perfect as they seemed. Their support was a lifeline, providing me with the encouragement I needed to seek help and explore my options. I realized that I wasn't alone and that there were people who cared about me and wanted to see me happy. I also began attending therapy sessions, hoping to gain insight into my own feelings and develop strategies for coping with Lisa's behavior. The therapist helped me recognize the patterns of narcissism and control in our relationship empowering me to set boundaries and prioritize my well-being. It's a slow and difficult process, but I'm determined to find a way to create a healthier environment for myself and my children. I want them to grow up knowing what a loving, respectful relationship looks like, free from the toxicity that currently surrounds us. With the support of therapy and my loved ones, I want to develop a plan for the future. I know that I can't continue living in this situation, and I'm determined to create a better life for myself and my children. I've been researching legal options and exploring the possibility of separation. It's a daunting step, and the thought of leaving the life I've known is terrifying. However, I know that staying in this toxic environment is not an option. I've also begun documenting instances of Lisa's behavior, keeping a record of the verbal abuse and manipulation. I want to ensure that I have evidence to support my case if I decide to pursue a separation or custody arrangement. Above all, I'm focusing on rebuilding my self-esteem and reclaiming my identity. I've started pursuing hobbies that bring me joy and fulfillment, and I'm slowly rediscovering the person I used to be before Lisa's influence took hold. As I navigate this challenging journey, I'm reaching out to you for advice and support. If you've been through a similar situation or have experience dealing with a narcissistic partner, I would love to hear your insights and guidance. How did you find the strength to break free and create a better life for yourself? What strategies did you use to cope with the emotional toll of living with a narcissist? Any advice or encouragement you can offer would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for taking the time to read my story and for any support you can provide. Your input means the world to me, and I'm hopeful that, with your help, I can find a way forward and create a brighter future for myself and my children.